Hey, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit, but I've gotten some inspiration here, and I want to talk to you about something that people talk about, but don't exactly talk about. So, with that being said, I'll let my co-star do her thing, and we will jump right into it.
Welcome back to my dad's channel. If you're new here, make sure to click that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to share.
So let's face it, we've all watched the videos, everybody giving you their reasons for getting certain credit cards. Now, one credit card stands out in particular, that being the American Express Platinum Card. In all of its iterations, one of the main things that you will hear about the Platinum Card is global lounge access benefit.
Lounge access.
Lounge access.
Access to lounges.
Lounge access.
Nightclub access.
Access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection.
Great lounge access.
It's negative effective annual fee. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm joking. Obviously, lounge access. That is one of its hallmarks. And even with the advancements of other high dollar cards, a feature that you tend to hear on most high annual fee cards, and I'm talking those $200 and up, is lounge access. Let's just face it, that is a thing. Most of these high dollar cards are catering to travelers, catering to wanderers, and catering to digital nomads, as that is now a thing. So with that being considered, while everyone talks about lounge access, and everyone will show you the tours of the great lounges they have, from this Centurion lounge to that Sapphire lounge to that Delta One lounge, and so on and so forth, I was actually in line at the ATL Centurion on a recent trip, and I've noticed that a lot of people don't exactly know what it takes to get in a lounge. They just simply assume that the line means it's popular and that anything will do. And I saw quite a few people get turned away as they proudly strided up to the front of the line with their Delta SkyMiles Platinum card. And unfortunately, right company, wrong card. Now, these are basic things, so I'm going to be going into some of the networks, and I'm going to be, talking about their footprint, what it takes to gain entry, guest policy, because that is very important, especially if you travel with family, and some thoughts, hints, and tricks, if I have any, that will apply. So, first and foremost, I have to go with my favorite lounge network, and that is the Centurion Lounge Network. Now, I have the Amex Platinum Charles Schwab card, and frankly, the amount of lounges that you are given access to is dizzying. That includes Priority Pass, Plaza Premium. You have the Escape Lounge Network. It's crazy. You get a lot of lounges for one annual fee, and if you are a traveler, it is heaven. Regardless of where you go, they pretty much have almost every airport you could probably imagine covered in some way, shape, or form, as most airports do have some sort of place off the beaten path for people to enjoy a drink or something to eat or some sort of quiet. Now, as far as the footprint goes, for the Centurion Lounge Network, currently there are 14 domestic lounges. So we're just going to deal with the ones in the United States, and I am lucky enough to have been to exactly half of them. I've been to 7 of them. I've reported live from some, and I actually still have footage from the Seattle Centurion Lounge, which was recently moved from the gate where it was. It's like off in the cut. It's right around the corner from the Delta Sky Lounge, but now it's actually in the mezzanine in the center terminal of the Seattle Tacoma Airport, and I have to tell you, the place is beautiful. They really did a great job with it, and that is sort of the line that the Centurions have. With that footprint, you pretty much get standard architecture, standard service, and standard beauty and such and what have you. So I've been to half of them. Love these lounges, but that is pretty much the footprint in America. But they do have an international footprint as well, spanning from Hong Kong to Buenos Aires to Sydney, Australia, and the list goes on. So, how do you gain entry to a Centurion Lounge? It's very easy. There are a few cards that will gain you access, but the list isn't as long as you may think. So first up, we have the Platinum card in any iteration, be it Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, if you have the old Ameritrade card. As long as you have an Amex Platinum card, it will grant you lounge access. The personal variant or the business variant, the Business Platinum, also grants you lounge access in the Centurion Lounge Network. The next card we have is the Delta card that I referred to earlier, but not the Platinum, the Reserve card, the purple one. The one who has the special black card release, white card release, part of a 747, yada, yada, yada. But that card, in addition to a paid Delta boarding pass, because you must be flying Delta, will grant you access to the Centurion Lounge. And just like with the Platinum card, the business variant of that personal card will get you in as well. So both the personal and business reserve. But the only caveat is with the Platinum card, you can be flying any airline. With the reserve, you have to be flying Delta. Now, the next card on the list that will gain you access is a ubiquitous card. Everyone has heard of it, but not a lot of people have it. And that is the Centurion card, the fabled black card. That will grant you access to the Centurion Lounge and will guarantee you access regardless of who's waiting, and a reserved space. They keep reserved spaces in all lounges, and I've even heard that in Hong Kong there's a special back room that you have to have a Centurion card to even enter. So that card plus its business variant, because a lot of people don't talk about it, but there is a Centurion business card as well. Both of those will grant you access to the Centurion Lounge, guaranteed, and that definitely is great in the face of the Centurion overcrowding that we've seen in the last year or two. Now, in addition, here's another card. It's actually the corporate Platinum card. Remember what I told you, every variant of the Platinum gets you in. Yes, there are companies, most people are accustomed to corporate green cards because they're large corporations, but there is such a thing as the Platinum corporate card, and that will grant you access to the Centurion Lounge as well. So the structure about bringing guests. There was a time where you could just bring 2 complimentary guests into the Centurion Lounge with your Platinum card, but no more. Due to rampant overcrowding that has been the complaint of quite a few card holders, the guest feature on the Platinum card has segued into the need for you to spend $75,000 in a calendar year in order to bring 2 complimentary guests into the lounge. Other than that, you will pay $50 per guest over the age of 17, and it costs $30 for children between the ages of 2 and 17. Now that policy extends to the reserve card as well. Now conversely, the black card, with its monumental annual fee, its myriad of benefits, you obviously get complimentary guests as long as you're waving that black card around. So you ultra riches, if you happen to stumble on this video by accident, you're good. Now, next up, we have the Chase Lounge Network. As an aside, I have to let you know that the Centurion Network is just by far the largest credit card specific lounge network that I'm going to be featuring here, but it doesn't take away from the other lounges and their prime placement and how they can really affect other credit card holders who are not American Express holders. Now with that, we have the network of Sapphire lounges. Now, right now, I'm in Boston, and there is one in Logan Airport, a Sapphire Lounge. And you will notice that Sapphire Lounges are Sapphire Lounge by the club, meaning they are priority pass lounges. We will get into that a bit later. But as far as the footprint goes for Sapphire Lounges, right now you have Boston, you have one in LaGuardia Airport, and you have a terrace in Austin, Texas. Shout out Spencer Johnson. I believe he's been there and he's actually told us about it. Shout out to the homie. Now, as far as entry goes, obviously a Sapphire will get you into the Sapphire Lounge, but not all Sapphires are created equal. So you are going to need to hold the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Unfortunately, the preferred just will not do the trick. Also, you can hold the JP Morgan Reserve card, aka the $10 million card. It used to be the Palladium, and I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with it. Another card that will grant you access into the Sapphire Lounges is a card that's not publicly available, but has recently become a darling of the credit card space, the Ritz-Carlton card. Now with that, you can actually get another Marriott card, hold it for a year with Chase, and simply product change into the Ritz-Carlton, thereby giving you access to the Sapphire Lounge network. Now, here's another way to access the Sapphire Lounge, especially if you're like me, you want to try it out, you want to see what all the fuss is about, but you don't hold a Sapphire card, or if you hold a Sapphire Preferred and not a Reserve. Because so many cards have priority pass, and it's so available all over the place, with a paid membership, you are actually granted 1 complimentary entry into the Sapphire Lounge without holding a Sapphire card. So, that can actually just let you decide if you want to have it in order to use it as you travel through Boston. You may have to go back and forth there from work. You know, that's actually common, you know, a little commonplace between like New York and Boston. It's a quick trip, and maybe people have to do that, and that may be useful to them. Boston to LaGuardia is a short jaunt, and you can be taken care of on both ends of that trip holding a card that will quickly get you your money's worth. Now, as far as the guest policy goes, for the Chase Sapphire Lounge, both the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the JP Morgan Reserve cards will grant you 2 complimentary guests, and then after that, it's $27 per entry, whereas the Ritz-Carlton card will actually grant you unlimited guest privileges into the Sapphire Lounge. And now we have Capital One. Now, Capital One has lounges which actually differ from Capital One cafes. I've been to a Capital One cafe. I actually just went to one today down on Boylston Street because I had a little time to go strike out and explore a little bit of Boston. Now, the Capital One lounges, the most famous one being their flagship and first lounge, is in DFW. But their footprint is actually very small because they have one in DFW, which is Dallas-Fort Worth. The newest one is in the Denver airport, where a Centurion Lounge resides as well. So people in Denver, you have some options. And they have one at IAD, which is a Washington, D.C. airport. Now, forgive me, IAD, DCA, I don't have time to figure out which one is which, so I'll just label them as Washington, D.C., but either way, you're gonna have some options there, but IAD, Denver, and DFW right now comprise the entire footprint of Capital One lounges. So in order to gain access to these lounges, you need to either have the Capital One Venture X card that will automatically gain you complimentary access to the lounge. You also could have the Capital One Venture card, which is one step below the Venture X and one step above the Venture One. Now, what that will allow for is 2 complimentary visits per year, and then after that, you will have to pay for entry. Because with Capital One lounges, anyone can go there as long as they're willing to pay. It's just holding the Capital One card, it helps you out on the entry fee, depending on, you know, where you're going and how many times you've been. Now, the third card that will get you in is the Capital One Spark card, the Spark for Business card. That will actually grant you 2 entries per year, same as the Capital One Venture. Now, as a little trick to everybody, the Capital One Lounge in Dallas-Fort Worth is actually kind of special because a lot of people don't realize not only is it a Capital One Lounge, but it's also a Plaza Premium Lounge. And if you rewind a couple of chapters, there is a card that I said that I have that grants me access to what? Plaza Premium Lounges. So I've actually entered the Capital One Lounge in Dallas-Fort Worth complimentary because I have access granted by none other than my American Express Lounge. So technically, depending on the Capital One Lounge and the lounge network that it's under, your Amex Platinum card could actually get you in for free. So that is just a little feather in my cap. That's something I choose to remember, and maybe you ought to as well. So as far as the guest policy goes, if you have the Capital One Venture X, you get 2 complimentary guests. And one of the caveats with that card is that even your authorized users get in for free, and then they can bring guests. So having a couple authorized users with you is a great way to get a bunch of people into the lounge without having to pay for anything. Now, I'm not going to touch on the Venture and the Spark because with those cards, you only have 2 complimentary visits. And I mean, by all means, you can use one for a guest, but then they're all used up. So it's not really worth talking about. And your authorized users as well are under the same policy. So we're just going to focus on the Venture X as far as card entry and guesting goes. Now, last but not least, we have the Priority Pass Lounge Network. This is not credit card specific. Priority Pass literally comes attached to every high dollar card that you can possibly find. Sometimes in other cards like airline or hotel cards, even they will have it because they know that you're going to travel. Now, as far as the Priority Pass footprint, I'm not going to give you a number. I'm just going to say it's huge. Priority Pass tends to fill the gaps that the major lounges tend to leave out, and the major lounge networks tend to leave out. So I've been to a few Priority Pass lounges like in Cleveland. That's pretty much the only lounge you get when you're in the Delta terminal. When you're in the terminal that mostly flies Delta planes. I've been there a couple of times. I've actually been to the Priority Pass Lounge at ATL when I was discovering all the lounges in there. Been to the club at Orlando, went by the club at Las Vegas. So they have lots of them, and they are everywhere. In your smaller airports, those tend to be Priority Pass. Now, internationally, I can tell you from experience, if you are going to lean on a Priority Pass lounge, do it internationally. I went to Priority Pass Lounge in Rome, and I have to tell you, it was beautiful. The food was great. The service was amazing. And if you are going to lean on them, please do so internationally. You will not be disappointed. I do believe I have some footage of some of those lounges, and I'm telling you, it's really nice. So definitely check those out. So as far as entry goes, I'm just going to reiterate it again. Literally almost any credit card. Very precious few are exempt from this list that have annual fees north of $200 come with some sort of Priority Pass membership. They do. They just throw it at everything. At this point now, I have a couple that even overlap in my own collection. So, I mean, that's just something to think about. Priority Pass is not terribly difficult to get. Now, there were at one point varying flavors that you can get with certain cards, where some would include the restaurants and spa services, like the Venture X and the CSR, but slowly they are whittling away at those benefits, and you will just be able to get into the lounges without getting the other benefits of the $28 credit at restaurants. But either way, you still have plenty of options to get Priority Pass, or just unlike the credit cards, you can just go buy it right from PriorityPass.com. They'll send you a membership card. There is an electronic membership card, a QR code that you actually store on your phone that you can scan. So you don't even need to have a credit card proper per se in order to get in. So there are tons of options to get into Priority Pass. Now, as far as guest option goes, at the point where you hit Priority Pass Select, you can get 2 complimentary guests, and you can visit a Priority Pass lounge on an unlimited basis as long as you have a same-day boarding pass. So if you have a trip with 3 stops, guess what? Find a Priority Pass lounge everywhere you go, and you can visit unlimited, you and your guests. No big deal. That's really how you get the bulk of your money's worth it for that membership, is the fact that because they know for a fact that your money is paid, you're not going to get maybe some of the amenities of an Amex lounge. All of them don't have showers and such and what have you, but still they are available. That's how you can get some of your money back. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to touch on some of these lounge networks, the more popular ones, how to get in and how to bring a guest in, because I'm telling you, it was pitiful. I'm waiting in this line. First of all, I was mad I was waiting in the line. But I'm waiting in this line, and I'm literally seeing people fail at entering a lounge that they are just certain that they should have had access to, but for a small confusion in which type of platinum card that they needed to possess. So with that, I'm not going to hold you guys up. I'm going to do my pointy thing. Boom, boom. There it is. Check out these 2 videos, and hopefully you'll enjoy, and take it easy.